Alpha, you know what I need.
Teenagers with attitude.
That's correct, Alpha.
Teenagers with attitude.
What's up, bro?
Bring me your teens. Teenagers with attitude, clad in tightly colored costumes, book and skull. I ship them to buffy gold dogs, howl at the
Rangers, I'm cultural here today. Listen to this awesome podcast that I found. Alpha, bring me my food.
Hey everybody, welcome to Teenagers with Attitude, the show where a bunch of grown adults sit around talking about teenagers in tightly colored clothing fighting monsters. And it's a plot episode, y'all. And that's gonna be fun because, hello, I'm Zach, and joining me this week is somebody who loves Power Rangers plot. That's right, it's Emily.
Hey, it's me. I'm the dumb bitch who likes this shit.
And somebody who is probably going to play video games while we talk about this one, it's Fabby.
I am the dumb bitch who did not like this shit. The word plot.
There's two sides of the dumb bitch coin, and one of it is likes plot, and the other one doesn't.
Zachariah, Zacatias. The word plot is doing like a lot of heavy lifting there.
No, it isn't. There's a straight up plot here. It's not deep, but it's a plot.
Let's see. There are things that move forward the status quo. Plot is granted a little bit too much. I will give you.
I just don't think plot's as high a bar as y'all think it is. It's not that high of a bar.
See, I think the difference is your plot is lowercase and my plot is like uppercase.
Yeah, it's not like fucking Shakespeare, but it's a
lowercase
plot.
I'll give you that. It's a lowercase plot.
You can if your English teacher is like just put down a synopsis of what happens in the plot in this episode, you can do that. There are things
it'd be pretty short,
that you can list.
Unless you describe the fights really detailedly.
The fights are part of the plot.
Which I really
Power
like
Rangers,
the fights in this episode a lot. But
I think it's something we've noted. I think recently that at least for me, and I think. I don't know exactly why, but I know a lot of it's been original American footage too. But a lot of the fights have been good recently. It's just that, we've been doing this for like 6 years. And at some point it's like, well, they fight and it's good. Or they fight and it's bad. Here's some specifics, but not many because it's just not worth it.
There's enough like story to each fight that I think there's stuff to talk about, but it's still not going to be like, we can't just describe every little thing that happens.
I'll give it credit that the fights in this episode, especially the one-on-one Darkonda Ecliptor stuff, is more interesting than a lot of the fights that we've been getting lately.
I think that the Darkonda Ecliptor fight is the best fight we've had this season, full stop. And I think Adam's are like pretty close. Yeah. Any fight that Adam in is like really good in terms of like the stunts and stuff. But there's like more going on in this fight than just the fighting, but the fighting is also very well done, especially for in-suit fighting. But
really quickly say that before we get too deep into it, I
guess
we almost recorded last week, and then some stuff came up. So I watched the episode last week, and as we started talking about the Darkonda Ecliptor fight, I had a really deep terror that we had in fact already recorded this episode because my brain was misremembering what happened.
No, but you're right to feel that this is not the first Arconda Ecliptor fight.
No, I know, but I was scared we were about to literally just do an episode on the same episode.
Okay, here's the thing, and I don't want to roast you too hard, both of you. But I think that was the third time we did an Ecliptor spotlight last episode.
Yes. Oh, well, that's fine. He's cool. I like Ecliptor,
cool.
so he gets 3 spotlights.
It's just really funny that we've done him 3 times, and I was listening and I'm like, oh my god. I was thinking about doing it a 4th time just as a bit.
That's great. Legitimately.
I'm pretty sure Fabi asked me if we did it before, and I said no.
Yeah, no, it's not Fabi's fault at all. Fabi and you guys talk, and every time it's been a different conversation. It's fine. It's just very funny. Yeah. And the last person who brought it to our attention was Cassidy. Yes. So it's just very funny, the Fabi-Cassidy connection.
Yeah, listen, that's what we call it when we're in the bedroom, the Fabi-Cassidy connection. Mexico and Australia, baby.
All right. So, that said, let's talk about that in just a minute, because I do, in fact, have some news this week, which is that I think we knew about it a while ago. They had announced it, but we didn't know much about it. We have gotten an announcement of the release date for the Power Rangers core rulebook for the RPG.
Hell yeah.
Which is exciting. And also the website that I have open is telling me about this, what the CDC did today, and I can't figure out how to make it stop. Okay, I got it. All right, there we go. Anyway, so yeah, they announced it a little while back. I can't remember if this aspect was announced then, but it is being made by Renegade. Renegade is a board game company that makes board game and TTRPG company that makes actually a lot of cool stuff. They make Vampire the Masquerade, which people might be familiar with. They make the Clank deck building game, which is really popular, a really popular board game. And they make the Power Rangers board game as well, whose name escapes me because for some reason Power Rangers decided to name all their stuff something of the grid. Which one is it, Fabi?
This one is
it
the
Heroes?
Deck building or the board game?
The board game.
The board game is Heroes of the Grid.
Heroes of the Grid.
The video game
Thank
is
you.
Battle for the Grid.
Yes, and the deck building game is called Power Rangers: The Deck Building Game, which I think is honestly
it's really funny,
pretty good call. Yeah.
They also, because I'm queer and I'm in the game industry in a weird way, they also make Kids on Bikes, which I would recommend as a fun role playing game. I believe they also publish another game by the same designer of the tabletop game. Of the board game, Jonathan Ying. I believe they also publish Bargain Quest. Also a very good game.
Okay, cool.
And they're doing the Transformers deck building game.
I just double checked for you. They do Bargain Quest.
That's what I thought.
So they make a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if they announced this or if I knew it, but I feel like I missed it. They in fact made a overall deal with Hasbro to make tabletop stuff based on their properties, which is probably going to be good for both of them because I mean,
people like their properties
people
and
like that shit. Yeah, for sure. And I would imagine it might be kind of weird for like if they tried to get the D&D. Well, first of all, the people who run the D&D brand over at Hasbro are not great people. I don't want to go into it too much, so it's good they're not doing it. But I do think it also be kind of. I forgot
that they were also Hasbro.
Yes, but also I think they recently split them, at least like in terms of leadership. That Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are kind of slightly separate entities. Anyway, don't want to talk about corporate shit that much. Point is that in addition to the Power Rangers role-playing game, they are making a G.I. Joe and a Transformers role-playing game official.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard about the Transformers one.
I think that this is something that just came out. Renegade Con is August 27th and 28th. So we just missed it, but this information is still pretty new. Essentially, they created their own sort of. If you're a tabletop person, you've probably heard Powered by the Apocalypse.
Yeah, their own engine is.
It's a role playing engine. Yes. It basically describes how you can make stats and like the basic ways that a game would work, and then you can kind of slap anything into that. I really like Powered by the Apocalypse for that reason. It is pretty simple. You can kind of edit it to your liking.
Yeah.
What Renegade is doing is kind of making an engine. It's called Essence 20. That it is going to power all three of these games that they're designing. And it's a D20 based system. And I'm not going to go that deep into it, but essentially their idea is that a character in Essence 20 has three main parts of their character. There is what type of person are they? What is their function as part of the team, and what experiences have they had in their life? So you've got basically background, role, and personality. And with those things, they call them origin, role, and influence. And you create those three
call on influence, knowing that that means something in the tabletop world. Saying influence, it means something. It's a mechanic for Mask and a couple of other games. So it's really interesting that, and it's different than this, that they went for that word. I don't have the rule book, obviously. My gut would have been to call it background, but maybe it doesn't just mean that. You never know. Sometimes it
influences your character, maybe?
This is me being a tabletop nerd, being that's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. It's basically the engine is gonna be that. They describe it a little bit. Basically, you get you're always gonna roll a d20 for everything, and then you will add another die that represents your skill in that area, which is cool. That's a perfectly valid way to do it. Sounds fun. You get to roll more dice. I always like dice. They've got three RPGs coming out with this. They give if you want to look at this, the Forbes website has an article that goes a little bit more into depth about how it's going to work. One of the things that I think is fun is that you cannot die in Power Rangers. That's just not how Power Rangers works.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's kind of cool that they, because you can tell slightly darker stories in the Power Rangers universe, but I like that they were no, that's not what we're here for. This is a Power Rangers game. You don't die. Your team just regroups. And
I really like that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's they mentioned that there's a defeat table that basically that you roll on that says what happens, but nobody dies, and I like that.
I'm of the big. I mean, it depends what game you want, right? If you want a game where it's very risky and you might die, if that's what you want, that's fair. But I've always been of the mindset that the most interesting way to handle death in a game is that the player chooses when their character dies. You have the last call when your character passes away.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Honestly,
I think that's cool, and it does definitely depend on what kind of game you're playing.
Yeah. Listen, if we're playing 16 Candles,
I was gonna say I agree in that it's how I also feel.
21
I would
candles?
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so I think that's neat. I'm definitely excited to take a look at it. I don't have a ton of time to play games recently, but
10 candles. I was adding first 6 candles and then 11 candles. Anyway, 10 candles.
10 candles,
I should run for us one day when we're like.
I
when
have
PAX
played
happens.
10 candles in a cabin in the woods
Hell
with
yeah.
all the lights off with my
Hell
friends
yeah.
once. And it
That's
was
how
a
you do it.
blast.
I don't know what that
That's
game
a-
is. It sounds cool, though.
It is a horror game,
Oh, no, I'm
and it's
spooked. I'm
very,
spooked
very
already.
fun.
It's a horror game where you have 10 candles around the table, and those are the only sources of light. And as the game progresses and people die, and everyone's gonna die. Everyone knows ahead of time you're
That
gonna
sounds
die.
amazing.
And
It sounds
as
so
you put them out
cool.
as
The
things
game goes
happen.
on,
Yeah,
you
it's
start-
cool.
I might
snuffing the
panic attack
candles.
if I played that, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, I like I'm a big horror person, and I actually typically like when a horror movie or story has like a horror story in which like nothing bad happens to the protagonists is kind of toothless, but I usually like them to have a relatively happy ending. But I like in 10 Candles, the game suggests is basically like you need to make sure your players all understand everyone dies. That's like how this game works.
Yeah.
And explain that. And once that was out of the way, I had a really good time with it. So
Cool.
but yeah, so anyway, I'm excited to play this. It looks pretty neat. It again, I'm not going into it too deep. It looks like they're aiming for a simpler game, which is probably a good idea for the brands that they're going to be using it for. They're mostly, aimed at kids. So it's cool. The other one thing I did want to mention about it is that I would never buy this because it's insane.
I'm
and
looking
so
at it
it's-
right now. I know exactly
Is it the
what you
Is
mean.
it the set?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you can buy the rule book. It's $55. That's expensive, but not that insane for a core rule book for
that is like
a game.
Power Rangers, Pathfinder
Yes.
type, like around that area of price.
Yeah. It's not crazy, but it's expensive.
Except Power Rangers,
There
I
is-
say D&D anyway.
Yeah. There is also a set of 6 rule books, which it's all the same rule book,
It's all
except
the
that
same
each...
rule book.
Yes, except that it's obviously the idea is like you would give them to your group members. The reason it's a set of 6 is because each is one of the colors of the original Mighty Morphin team and
I can
has
post it
the helmets
in
on it
the-
and stuff, and
in
it's
the
cool.
chat so that Emily can see. But like,
Yes.
yeah, it's very neat, but it's just the same book 6 times. It's like
It's-
a really neat concept, but it's also
It's
$300.
insane. It costs $300. It's the same book 6 times. Don't buy it, but it is cool as hell. Like I can't help but
It's
be
pretty
like,
cool.
That's
I guess
neat.
if you and like 6 other friends were like, we're definitely gonna get this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna play it a lot. That's the
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah,
like we're gonna for sure get
we
this.
all want this, so let's all pick
Yeah.
one of the books and like.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool if you show up and like, yeah, I'm the Pink Ranger. I got the pink book.
It's neat. It's cool. It's totally impractical.
Yes, absolutely. But I saw that on there, and I was like, I do have to mention this because that's funny.
That is very funny.
But yeah, so check that out. If you want to take a look at the article or check it out when it comes out. It's Essence 20 is the system they've designed, and the biggest reason I'm bringing it up in this like level of detail is I've never played a Renegade game I didn't think was good, so like I'm very hopeful that this will be a good game. So yeah, there you go. Now we will be moving on to Power Rangers in Space, episode
Excuse you?
27.
Excuse
Sorry?
you? What happened
Is there
to,
something I forgot?
to Fabby Speedrun Corner?
Oh my goodness,
Oh.
you are correct. Fabi, please
I
give
love
me an
how I bullied
update
you.
on your boyfriend dungeon speed running.
So last time we talked, I believe I had 6 world records.
That's wild.
Now I only have 4 left, but I'm pretty confident with those 4. I haven't like gone to try to get the other ones back because I haven't been feeling like speedrunning Boyfriend Dungeon. But yeah, I still have 4, so still 4-time world champ, and I have like some second places and 1 third place. But also I started playing a new game, and I think once I got the bug of like speedrunning, now whenever I approach a game, I'm looking at it like, oh, I can see where we can do it fast here. I can see where you like save time here. I can see where you optimize or where you do a skip. And that has been really fun. And I did want to shout out a game that probably everyone in this call and everyone listening probably owns. It's called Lena's Inception. It's it was in the Black Lives Matter itch.io bundle.
Okay.
That's how you know we have it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
It is a 2D Zelda inspired, completely random game. Every time you play it, the whole map, the dungeons, what the potions do, the order you receive the items, everything is randomized every time you play it. The story is actually pretty good. I actually really like the story. I like the twist. It's a really nice game. It has like a glitchy aesthetic. It's really cool. I've been enjoying it. I'm doing like the true ending right now. I would recommend it if you like. I've never been a Zelda girl, but I heard some people in the Flame Fatales Discord, which is a speedrunning community for women and
that's a good
people
name.
Marginalized. Yeah, they just had their second marathon like a couple weeks. And someone mentioned this like being a really easy game to get into and pick up and play. And I would recommend that. But like, if you like Zelda games, I assume this is what you would like in them, like 2D Zeldas. It also has like an option when you start it, you can play 8-bit or 32-bit, and that's very cute.
That's
it's also
cool,
very gay. It's really nice and gay. Spoilers, there's a character you meet who's like a librarian, and you two start dating, and like you have a little date and a quest. It's very simple but very cute.
What's the name of it again?
Lena's Inception.
Lena's Inception. Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely a game that like if you're looking for something and you're like, I like what Fabi was talking about with speedrunning, but I don't want to buy Boyfriend Dungeon. For whatever reason, you don't have the money, you don't want to.
Yeah.
You probably own Lena's Inception, and that's definitely, like, worth your time and your attention.
There you go. Cool. That was... That bundle, the Black Lives Matter, was it actually... I can't remember if it was a Humble bundle or if it was like another program.
It was on itch.io, I think.
itch.io, okay. That thing was great, and also I played like 2 things out of it because it was so overwhelming. I just couldn't like find, and I just couldn't do it. So
the important part was that we were donating, so it doesn't really matter. But it's really cool that we have that as many games as that. But it's hard to like be like, okay, which one do I play now?
Yeah, it definitely is, and there's a lot of lists and everything, but at least for me, the thing that I found works the most is when someone mentions one game and they're like, hey, did this one, this
absolutely.
is the reason, this one.
You mentioning it helps people like, okay, I'll take that
also,
one.
I mentioned it to your wife, but there definitely is a potion and a tunic that just makes you huge, just makes you big.
Nice,
you just get big.
Nice. And you told Cassie about that?
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
good.
mention the game, but I did say I played a game where you can just get big with a certain potion, and it reminded me of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm very happy that it reminded you of her.
Now I feel like I gotta ask you, Emily. What do you have anything you want to talk about before we start? I feel like it would be mean if you just don't get the chance.
Like Fabi, who like makes bits for the show?
I talked about this already in a different podcast that I guested on, but in case you don't listen to Lupin Lottery, it turns out they hire dogs to work at pet stores now. So like. I'm a dog who just works at a pet store now, and I got
a pet store job, yeah,
and I get to get to pet dogs as part of my job. It's just a part.
That rules.
It's just a thing I get to do. People bring their dogs in, and I'm like, oh, they're so cute, and pet them, and be like, hey, this kibble's good.
Retail is hard, but pet stores have always, and I'm sure that there's a lot of bullshit you gotta deal with, but like. Typically, I feel like the customer environment in a pet store is a lot chiller. Everybody's there for pets, for somebody they love. And also they get to bring their dogs in, so that's nice.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is like I actually enjoy customer service like a lot.
Yeah.
It just helps if I like the thing that I'm selling, or
Right,
like what
totally.
we're selling them to. Like it's about making people's pets happy and healthy. So it's like awesome,
Good.
cool, and yeah. So I'm very excited about that. And my coworkers are cool, and like it's a branch store, but my coworker, my manager was also like, it's a corporate business, but like I don't really care if they lose money, so like whatever. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
This place is
Definitely
awesome.
those types of places, like a fast food job.
Fast food sucks a lot.
Well,
This
fast
is a
food
lot
does
better.
suck, but and so does retail. But what I was gonna say is, if it is like a franchise place and the owner / manager is chill, it can be fine. Like it really depends on who is like
Absolutely,
because
because like my fast food job, I say sucks because like my manager was really shitty, and like if he came in and there was a crumb on the counter, the crumbs are like, but this counter is horribly dirty. What were you doing? And meanwhile, I spent a half an hour late and then didn't get paid for it. So like,
yeah,
cool.
that's shitty. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying your new job.
Yeah.
That's good. Can I was going to get going, but Fabi talked about the game that is sort of 2D Zelda inspired. Well, I haven't really gotten to talk about this anywhere yet, and it'll be pretty brief.
Go right ahead. I don't care.
Basically, I'm playing my first gacha game, and it's good.
Oh, Guardian Tales. Yeah, I'm playing that too a little bit.
It's called Guardian Tales. It is very... It doesn't actually play that much like 2D Zelda. Well, kind of. It is 2D Zelda-ish.
It's a top-down action RPG.
It's a top-down action RPG, and there are a lot of like block puzzles that are similar to Zelda and that kind of thing. But it's, you mix that with like a Diablo-style loot game, and obviously it's a gacha, so gotta get them cool heroes. And I've just really been enjoying it. And also I got some friends into it and who immediately all pulled shit that I haven't seen, even though I've been playing way longer, and I'm mad about it. Which is how gachas work, I guess. But
what's this game called?
It's called Guardian Tales. And it's very fun. I've been enjoying it a lot. I've not put any money into it, and that hasn't seemed to be any kind of problem.
Okay.
Maybe I'll eventually hit something, but I've got a bunch of cool characters. You will eventually have
I wasn't expecting it to be like chibi. I'm on the website.
It's cute. Well, so it's like the sprites are sort of 1632-bit ish, but they all have these very nicely done but kind of chibi style portraits basically for them. And it's cute and it's fun. It's a little addictive. Those kind of games are.
Yeah,
it has too many.
Be
It has too many systems, which I know that people who like gachas are like, no, that's good. But I'm like, but the menus, it's too many
it's just
menus.
so much time spent not playing the game.
That's usually the thing that ends up, like, even if I really like a gacha, well, two things. One thing that ends with me not playing is when I get overwhelmed by the menus, and two, like, my phone can barely, like, sustain anything.
Mine chugs too, and it's not that old either. So real quick, if you don't know what this is, a gacha game is usually a mobile game where you get the opportunity to draw, which is basically like roll for new characters every so often, usually with money. But also, there's usually a system to, grind them out as well. Some of the characters are straight up better than others, which is where sort of the kind of insidious part comes. But at least in this one, I have, you get a party of 4 characters, and I have like 6 or 7 that I think are really cool, and I haven't put any money into it. So it's not that bad in that terms. It plays kind of like a Zelda. The story is interesting so far. Here's spoilers for the gacha game Guardian Tales, everybody. I'm sorry, don't, skip ahead a little bit. You appear to, fighting off what you think are invaders at the beginning, and then pretty early in, you find out that actually you're a colonizer, and that these are people trying to take their planet back.
Oh,
And-
jeez.
Well, and that's the thing is
didn't get
like
that far.
if they do something with that, then it'll be cool. But if not, it's bad. We'll see, because it's early, and I assume if they revealed that early, that they're gonna do something with it. But it's definitely interesting at the very least. The thing that's killing me is that, like you said, Fabi. So you have your character. Your character has a level. Your character also has a star rating. Your character also has a sphere grid from Final Fantasy X. All of those can be upgraded, and upgrading any of them changes the other of the three. Also, your weapons all have those things too.
Fuck off.
Also, there's a
I'm gonna delete it
town.
now.
There's a town/base
I don't
building
know if I will.
mechanic. Also, and it's just like you said. I want to play this fun, cute game, and then it's like, okay, but first you do need to check boxes on these 600 menus before you go back into it. And that's the one
Jeez.
thing that I don't like about it so far. But anyway, I'm playing that. It's cute. If you want a free-to-play game, I would at least recommend checking it out. I am not that far in, so I can't be like, it's the best. But it's fun, and it is, at least, honestly, the thing that I'm liking the most about it is I can now understand what people who play Grand Blue are talking about. Like, I don't play Grand Blue, which is a very popular gacha game, but at least I know what the fuck a draw is, and like these other terms that I didn't used to. I was like, okay, they're just talking about this, I'm going to go over here.
Are you ready for Legfest?
Yeah, I still don't know what Legfest is. This is...
I think it stands for legendary, but I could be
Yes.
wrong. Okay, yeah.
Yes, it's legendary. It's a thing in Grand Blue, and then a couple of other.
When I first saw it,
gachas where,
I was like, oh man, everyone's doing weightlifting now, Lake Fest.
Everyone's just
leg.
really excited about Leg
Weird.
Day all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, where in some games they just give you free rolls. In some games, like they have some very rare stuff. But yeah, Legfest. If you want to
Yeah.
know more about all of this, there is a podcast on the
Yes.
network called Gacha Journalism.
Gacha
You can go check
Journalism
out.
by our buddy Dustin and I'm sorry, I can't remember. I feel like shit. I cannot remember the co-host's name, but yeah, it's good. You should check it out. I've started listening to it a little bit as well, and you should listen to it. My the one last thing I'll say about it is the draw system. One of the things that's cool is it increases very, very slightly, but it does increase the chance you'll get a unique hero every time you don't get one,
Yeah, a few of them do
which
that.
is nice. I like that. I think that's cool. It's like, okay, well, at least I'm understanding that when I
Sierra
draw crap.
is the name of the co-host.
There you thank you.
I was
very
looking
much.
that up, so thank you for doing it.
Yeah, y'all are the best. All right, so we're 30 minutes in. Let's talk about this Power Rangers episode. This is 27 of In Space. Astronema Thinks Twice.
There's a fight. There's a
Shush,
like
shush, shush,
one
shush,
line that we need
shush,
to
shush.
talk about, and then
We'll get
boom,
to
the
your
episode's
line.
over.
We'll get to your line, Fabi. Let us talk about the cool
I
stuff.
was just making time. That's fine. Take it away.
It starts with Astronema. I actually am not 100% sure because they don't say, but I think she's on KO-35.
Yeah, because it shows like it shows an
Yeah.
establishing shot of a blue planet, but it's not Earth. It's like
She is where she's kidnapped, and I assume
Yes.
that was KO
or
35.
Yeah, so she's
KO-35.
gone. She is remembering vaguely stuff about her past, and she's headed back to KO-35, which I hate to keep harping on this, but is a beautiful, perfect planet that everyone
we haven't
abandoned.
seen
Okay, but, like,
anything wrong with it.
I thought,
Yeah.
okay, like, I feel like I fill in gaps when I'm watching these shows, which might be part of why I enjoy it more than Fabi, because I fill in a lot of gaps
Right.
in my head. But like, they left because Dark Spectre was trying to kill them, not because they
Well-
destroyed the planet. It's because they were there, and now they're running away
They-
from the genocide
they
that
never-
Dark Spectre is trying.
If that's the case, they never said that.
Well, I know they didn't, but they explicitly did say that they are trying to hide from them.
Yes, they're
so you
definitely
can infer
in
that. It's my
Yes,
brain.
they're the KO-35ians are definitely in hiding. They said that explicitly when we met
that's the only thing that
them.
makes sense to me is they left the planet because they didn't want to get murdered.
Right.
I could
It's
swear there was a line early on where they talks about. I'm sorry for the creaking, Eric. I could swear there was a line early on where it talks about like the planet being inhabitable or the planet being.
This is the one thing I was going to say.
Earlier they said deserted. The planet was deserted is the only thing they said about it, I think.
I'll have to go look. I swear they said the planet was like destroyed. Not literally destroyed, but like ruined or
for the record,
some...
you might be right. But for the record, I think the only thing they said was that it was deserted.
Fair enough. I'll have to go check. It's just the planet is fine. They are in hiding. I get that. It's just funny that there's this very nice empty planet, and that there's no like scavengers. It literally is just like everybody left in the middle of dinner, basically, and never came back.
There's no story buildings or anything like that, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she is looking around in this little park area where
there's that Bass Pro Shop pyramid or that later.
Yes, that's true. No, we saw that. We saw that already. There's that huge pyramid that it was weird.
It's like a black obelisk pyramid.
Actually, one of our friends who asked they remain nameless because it would tell their location, except I can't remember where it is. But basically, they told me that it is part of the campus that they live near, the college campus they live near. It's like it's a building on their campus. So anyway, Karone is Astronema is remembering when she was Karone and when she got kidnapped. We see that flashback again of her being scooped up by Darkonda. It just gets funnier to me every time because it's just a man in a big rubber suit scooping up this little girl and running away, and it's just really funny. So Darkonda grabs her, runs away. We cut back to the present day, at which point there's this very funny shot where she's like imagining what it was like, and then adult Andros just steps out from behind a tree and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And he is also there.
He was just waiting there for her, I guess.
Yes, I think he figured she was going to come because he knew she was starting to remember things, and so they kind of go over what they both already know, that she was kidnapped, that she was his sister. She's not really even denying it anymore. The weird part of this is that so Power Rangers has concepts of good and evil as like forces, right? Like there are these superpowers are literally powered by good, okay?
Yeah.
So which you have to buy into that for this to work. So I understand that in Power Rangers, the ideas of good and evil are like physical or metaphysical forces, or like gravity. You got good. That's fine. The thing that kills me is like Karone in this. She literally is like, oh well, I was raised evil, and now knowing my origin, I am tempted to be good, but I'll never betray being evil. And I'm like, excuse me, what? I don't understand.
I believe later in this episode, someone says like evil people don't have morals, or
I mean, like this show is like demonstrably showing that evil people can, because like
right.
Because of things that happen. But I think his friends act really shitty later, but we'll get into it then.
Yes.
But it's like, just... she was like, she was conditioned and like she got her memories wiped, I presume. So
yes, she did.
I kind of get it where she's like, she had her whole life. This was her life, and now everything's kind of crashing down on her. I can understand some hesitation. I mean, I don't know what happens, but like by the end of the episode, who knows what's going to happen, right? Like,
yeah, the only thing that really, I I guess what I'm getting at is like, I understand where she would be like, this is how I was raised and it's what I know. And you took, and you know, like, it's how this is the family I have.
But they're
so
also
I'm not going to
cartoons, the
betray
evil
that.
bad guys.
Right. But like literally the fact that she's like,
You're my
I
father.
want to be and enjoy being evil. Knowing what the word evil, I guess my question is just, does she know what the word evil means?
No, my question.
she really likes the
okay,
look.
let's fucking get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, what is evil in the Power Rangers universe?
That's what I'm
is
saying.
Evil
Yeah.
the same thing we consider evil, a moral choice? Or is evil something else? There is a line, I'm jumping ahead, but there is a line that fucked me up.
Okay, I
There's
was
a line
talking about this with Michael earlier, actually, but yeah, continue, and then I'll answer your question.
Yeah, there's a line by Dark Spectre that says... no, I'm sorry, not Dark Spectre.
Ecliptor?
Ecliptor, thank you.
Yeah.
That says, I am evil. I was built that way.
Yeah, I think...
Right.
I think
What does this mean?
I think Dark Spectre... I mean, I think Ecliptor's wrong, because Ecliptor's showing signs of not being completely evil. But, like, what I was explaining to Michael is, like, okay, so, like, D&D sucks. By the way, its lore sucks. But it's very cartoonish in the sense that, like, okay, devils are lawful evil. They're lawful evil, and there's nothing else they can be devils, right? And they're cosmically lawful evil. Like, their domain is the origin of lawful evilness, and then there's chaotic evil demons and so on and so on. I think that's the thing in Power Rangers, where like mortal races in D&D, except for like the shitty ones they've written in the past, and they're trying to fix that, are like up in the air. They can be whatever. They have normal human morals. But there's also the cosmic force of evil.
The plane of evil. Yeah, exactly.
That's
totally.
what I think it is in Power Rangers.
Okay.
I have a couple questions.
I can deal with that. So, like, the Rangers are a cosmic good, and
the Rangers' power sources.
Right, and the forces of... I mean, they call themselves the United Alliance of Evil. They are, like, inherently evil. The thing is, though, what evil means in this universe is, I think, a little confusing, because, like, to me, it's like, okay, so you, like... you just like love killing children for no reason, but they don't really. Like, that's not typically the villains in Power Rangers. Most of the time are like conquerors, right? They're like trying to take over things. There have been exceptions to that. Divatox, I think, more just wanted to steal and blow shit up, but like,
which is why she's the best one.
Well, yes, I agree. But Rita and Zed and Dark Spectre are like, well, the good people have this planet, and I want it.
Yeah,
and that's obviously like, you know, taking a planet from someone is a bad thing to do, but it is something that has purpose, I guess, as opposed to when I think of like, this person is fully 100% evil. To me, that means like I guess I'm thinking more of like chaotic evil in D&D, where it's just like, I just stabbed that baby. Why? Because I'm evil. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like, but that doesn't really seem so much to be like what they mean, I guess. So I don't know.
Evil in the Power Rangers world feels like it's more like an intrinsic... So...
Nebulous?
To go back to the ND. Alignment charts are bullshit. Like, they are
absolutely.
based on racist and like bigoted abuse of like people.
Yeah.
Alignment charts are complete bullshit. They're
really
incredibly
quick.
fucked up.
Really quick, if you aren't a tabletop person and don't know this argument, basically, in Dungeons and Dragons, at least up until recently, they said they are going to start changing this. Who knows if they will? You know, if you're an orc, you're evil, period. Yeah. And people were like, hey, that's fucked. That means you're basically saying if someone was born a certain way and raised a certain way, that like, no matter what they do, they're bad. And that is mappable onto real world racism. And so they're hopefully attempting to fix that. So alignment charts are kind of problematic for that reason. Anyway, continue.
So my argument is that in Power Rangers, evil does not mean evil. Evil is a designation.
Yeah.
It's like a heritage.
Yes.
They are the evil heritage. They're all the people before them were evil. Like they are. Even like Astronema is like molded to be evil and like taught to be evil, and evil is like not the right word here. It's more like I don't want to galaxy brain this and be like evil is an ethnicity in the Power Rangers universe, but that's fucking close.
I kind of feel like it's more like the cosmic force, and there's like a push and pull between these two cosmic forces.
So
but that's a reading, yeah, sure, like
push and pull thing. I don't know. I know very
it's
little
like the
about
force, but like
yes.
Ooh, you don't want to open that one.
Okay.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. Is
fuck the force. All my homies hate the force.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, they're all... you could criticize all these things. I just mean, like, as a concept, it's similar to that.
So we're just trying to figure out what Power Rangers is evil and good cosmology is.
I do think
kids'
cartoon,
this is what we do.
So it's hard to, like, examine it that closely, I guess, right?
I mean, you can.
You can.
Listen, I'll show you can.
I know you can.
Think
two questions that I wrote down during this episode.
The way I've started to through this conversation, I think the way that makes the most sense to view it for me is not even necessarily a force, but the idea of like, and I don't mean the actual religious connotation of this because I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but the like popular culture image of yin and yang, where it's like these are two things. You have to have both to make the whole one. Like that is, and you are always one or the other. Like that is what I think they're sort of working with here. Where it's like you're.
Both you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like in Power Rangers, it definitely seems like it's like if you had a Power Rangers character sheet, it has good or evil on it, and there is no other option. Like it has to be one of those.
I think both your take and Emily's take are in line for what the show says evil is, but not what the show shows evil is.
No, I
not
agree.
What the show represents evil.
That's what's confusing. Is like there are people who are the show says are evil who like
do good.
Right, or do good, or even
do acts we would consider morally good.
Yes,
and there are people who like, by most parts, most of the human race is considered good by this show.
Yes,
there are some of those who do evil. The two questions I've been wanting to get to is, and we don't have to examine them, but they were the questions that I wrote down watching this episode is, one, what is the nature of the soul in Power Rangers?
Yeah.
Is the nature of the soul, like, predetermined? Is there a soul? In question number 2, does essence precede existence? Before you are created in the world of Power Rangers, like, the moment you are born, are you already destined to be evil or good?
So, okay, I actually have an answer to both of those. Okay, so the first one, I can't remember. Could you repeat the first one again? Sorry, because
what's the nature of the soul in Power Rangers?
Okay, I don't know if you have a soul, but you do explicitly have like a spirit or soul or energy that can be read, right? Like specifically the Zeo crystal can look at your essence, your soul, and it can judge you whether you're good or bad. And that is literally based on just it can read whatever that power signature, soul, whatever is. So there is one. I think they've pretty explicitly said that there is something like that in Power Rangers. The second one is interesting because you said, so are you is it predetermined?
Does essence precede existence? Yes.
So in the Shattered Grid storyline in the comics in Power Rangers, the thing that kind of ends so if you're not familiar, there's a bad alternate universe Tommy who becomes a super evil bad guy named Lord Drakan. The way that storyline wraps up kind of is him finding out that in all of the universes, in every single universe in the whole multiverse, Tommy only becomes evil once, and it's him. And so that he is this weird, like, aberration. But even then, it is portrayed in those comics, at least, as a choice that he made. And because he made that choice, he is, like, unusual. But it is not... They never say, like, and you were always going to do this.
Yeah, free will exists, according to
yes,
them.
I think so.
Well,
I think
like,
so.
Okay, like, we're getting really deep in this shit, right? This is really funny.
Because, like,
but
listen, I know
this
you like
episode
the
does
episode,
beg the question.
but I have, like, nothing else to talk about except this.
Okay,
So.
well,
yeah,
that's fine.
there-
And then we'll probably just go over, like, the rest of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But, like...
Yeah, we will.
So, like, in Power Rangers, we've shown that, like, Tommy had to fight... He when he was... I don't think he was mind controlled. I think he bought evil essence put into him from Rita.
Yes,
and became
yes.
an evil version of himself. Right?
Right.
And he had to fight off that evil influence and let the good come out again, right? So that shows
Right.
that, like, evil is a force that you can put into someone. Or like, take it away.
And like the evilization ray thing.
Like there was an episode where Kat was like they were putting evil into her, and she had the same kind of deal where like she was being corrupted. There's a corruption force in Power Rangers. Not to get too kinky here, but yeah, like that's a thing in Power Rangers. Like, so I don't know if these guys are just people who like were corrupted by evil, or if like they're just from the evil spectrum. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. The part of the line that really hit me is that he says, "I was built this way."
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like I was born this way. Yeah, I was raised this way. Like, I was built for evil.
Yeah.
I was built as a purpose of evil.
Right.
Which, okay, so my last comment on this and like my big brain take on this is that evil and good actually do not exist in the Power Rangers. And every time we see evil and good as forces, as like, oh, this person has been given good, this person has been given evil, every time we see that is those people being controlled by another force, by like twisting them and moving them a certain way that we end up approving as good or evil.
Yeah,
but it's actually not. Good and evil don't exist.
You can definitely read it the way that like
so are you kind of saying like evil is like a thing that like is like
no,
is like
evil
a dark
doesn't exist.
Okay, but you said it can be put into people. So, and what is that? You said someone's controlling.
No. I'm sorry if I misspoke. Something is put into people which the show says is evil, but it's not evil.
What is it?
Yeah. So let me try and.
Yeah.
I think I actually have a way to kind of explain this. So
it's a great episode to be high on. Just let me tell you.
Yeah. Also, like, this is a weird episode, but I'm loving it. So in the DC comics, at the early on, you have Green Lantern. Green Lantern is a guy, and he's in an accident, and a magical ring flies to him, and it tells him, "You've been chosen."
We're talking
because
about Hal Jordan or Alan Scott.
Hal Jordan,
Okay.
first Green Lantern, and the ring literally just finds him and goes, "Hello, you are good and wonderful, and you are the chosen one."
Well,
and you're
it's actually because he's got the force of will.
Well, yes, but go with me on this because I think it's going to help explain
maybe in the
it.
original comics it was that. I don't know.
I can't remember the exact line, but yeah, he's like, "You're chosen because you're great and awesome, and you're gonna be a superhero who saves the world and helps protect justice." And for a while, it's just that. It's like he's great and wonderful, and eventually you find out that there is a race of aliens called the Guardians who basically took it upon themselves to create these things in order to kind of impose lawfulness on the universe. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the ring and Hal Jordan are basically told, like, you are good. And then you step back and you're like, well, okay, but who decided what good is? Well, actually, it's these aliens who set the parameters for what quote unquote good is. And then it went out and found something that fit that. I think Fabi is sort of saying, like, what they're calling good or evil are kind of just an arbitrary set of rules that Power Rangers, either Power Rangers the show or like the Morphing Grid is like, here's
or like
what good
society
is.
inside Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Says this is good, this is evil.
Right.
But there's actually there's no real difference between good and evil other than like what people say.
Yeah, you could read it as
people
like
identify
behind the
us.
scenes there is like a list of qualities that are tagged good and a list of qualities that are tagged evil, but like neither of those things, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just
Yeah.
this fits into the quote good category.
Yeah. But
And-
I bet you we could find characters in the good that have done at least one of the evil, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, this is a baby show for babies.
Yeah.
And no one who worked on the show at the time has put close to amount of effort or
Of
thought
course
to
not,
this
but
that
we're
we have
6
right
years
now.
into this, so we have to
But
figure
this
it
is
out.
what we fucking do. Like, if I'm not here doing this, I have no idea what we would contribute to the show.
Sure,
No, totally.
I would
This
just
is
fall
fine.
asleep.
I
But-
literally so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple ways to read it. You could read it as like it's a nature nurture thing. You're raised quote unquote good. You could read it as a balance thing, the yin yang kind of thing, where it's like, oh well, everything is good or evil, and it's just. And it seems like you can change it right through your own action or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Astronomer is a great example of that.
Or literally it's just like a series of tags, and like if you wear spiky, wristbands, that's the evil tag. And if you wear, like khakis, that's the good tag. And it's just all arbitrary, right? That's so I feel like there are a couple ways to view it. And honestly, again, like you said, this is us just trying to make any sense of it, because it's so when Ecliptor is just like, I love you so much and I'd do anything for you, my sweet daughter. Also, we're so evil. And you're like, wait, what? What's happening?
I want to talk about that more
Congruence
when we get to it a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get
like,
there shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
so
it's
anyway-
a bad thing answering that question now, but like we
Let's speed through kind of to get there, because whatever, most of this doesn't matter. You have he shows up. He explains to he's like,
we're still
Crone, you're my
there, wow.
sister. I love you. I know.
Come on, guys, why don't we pass the fucking opening credits?
We're gonna get through this fast. Don't stop me, because we had
There's
our
things
good
I want to talk
discussion.
about though too.
Sure, it
So
will
we'll
stop
see.
me if you
Yeah.
really want to. But basically, the one thing that's worth noting here is that they both teleport away, and then after Corone's like, no, fuck you, I'm evil. And then we see Darkonda, and I'm starting to hate Darkonda. I think you mentioned this, Fabi, because like I liked that he was, kind of opposite the other villains. But now he's like, yes, it was always my plan for Astronema to be torn between good and evil.
Well,
and I'm like, fuck you, no, it wasn't.
I think Darkonda's thing is he just wants personal power, and if he can tear down Astronema, he can go up the ladder.
Right. I
He's a
just more
Starscream
mean like,
situation here.
yes, totally. He's just like trying to act like this was part of his idea the whole time. And I'm like,
He's
no,
like,
it wasn't.
I meant to be killed 5 times,
Yes.
idiots.
Well,
Exactly.
to be fair, he has been like kind of like hanging over Ecliptor's head the truth
Yes.
about
Yes.
Astronema and threatening Astronema throughout the series. But yeah, like sure,
I just think the thing I had said before with Darkonda is that I think at this point, one, I don't listen. I do put my disbelief like on like I want to buy into the show, but at this point, Darkonda, has been defeated so many times that he's not a threat. Or he's not.
Something comes up about that though. This episode that intrigued
yes,
me.
we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
It's wild, but yeah, I agree.
But like
yes.
that doesn't fix it for me, right?
Sure.
No.
So like, well, this was all according to plan. Doesn't fix it because I was like, you lost your teeth. He should have died.
To me, it totally
when
is
the Ecliptor
like
killed him. Yeah,
it is like cartoon, not the like comics version and stuff of Starscream where I think it's better, but it's like. In the original cartoon, Starscream's always just like, haha, my plan was blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
he's
no,
trying to take over the Decepticons all the time.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's what this guy's doing. I think he wants Dark Spectre's position, but he's like currently trying to get like up this far.
But he's also, he keeps losing and it's just not threatening.
I can understand what Fab is saying, where he's
being
kind of defanged.
So that said, Ecliptor steps out and is like, "Oh, you son of a bitch! You've been betraying us by trying to confuse Astronema." And then they both draw swords. And I just want to say real quick that what that means is that in this scene, Astronema was standing around thinking really hard, while Andros was staring at her. While Darkonda was staring at both of them, while Ecliptor was staring at all of them. Everybody was just in the bushes.
This fucking, Russian doll.
Yeah, it's very funny. So we cut to credits, and then, we're going to kind of skip over a little bit because we've been talking a lot about the nature of good and evil. But I do want to tell you, friends, if you like Power Rangers action, go watch episode 27 of Power Rangers in Space, because this is a 5-minute fight scene between Darkonda and Ecliptor, which I want to remind you are both in very bulky rubber suits, not even like the Ranger suits, which are pretty mobile, right? They are in full suits that cover their whole bodies, and it's a 5-minute fight scene, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun. Like, this is my favorite fight of the season for sure, just because of it's shallow drama, but there's drama between these characters. There's this stuff going on with the fight, and also it's just really entertaining. And they're like doing really good choreography with this fight, and they have this little effect that every time their swords clash, there's like lightning.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
It does a lot for the fight. Honestly, the effects in this episode for Power Rangers are pretty good.
yeah, it's fun, and definitely, you're seeing.
It's great.
They've been setting this up for a long time, but speaking of D&D
they do
alignments,
flips and shit. It's so cool. Sorry.
They do flips. But Ecliptor is lawful evil, and Darkonda is chaotic evil, and that's the problem. Basically, Ecliptor is like you're like not playing by the rules, and even though I'm evil, which who knows what that means, as see previous discussion, you just like do shit and you don't have any code, and I'm gonna kill you again.
And he wants to protect Astronema because he loves Astronema.
Speaking of flip, I mean, literally, like, Darkonda does, like, 3 consecutive back handsprings, and I'm like, how do you even see in that thing?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand.
That's about seeing. That's really impressive.
But yeah, it's a cool fight. And then, it's going back and forth. It really seems close, and then, how exactly does
Darkonda and Ecliptor fuse again.
That's
but Ecliptor
right.
fights it off. They only fuse for a little bit, and then they kind of do the run towards each other with a sword slash thing, and Darkonda dies again.
Yeah, Ecliptor totally anime samurai sword slashes Darkonda to kill him, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I dig it. Yes, you're right. Darkonda uses his fuse move, which.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say I wasn't on last episode, so I wasn't able to say it then. But like, I love Ecliptor. He's like my favorite character, and like the part where he saves the Red Ranger last episode, and he's like, "I'm only gonna save you this one time because he loves Astronema." That I eat that shit up. Delicious, delicious, so tasty.
It was cool. I liked that. That was fun. So yeah, he uses his fuse move, which he did before, to Ecliptor. Against his will, and that time they got separated because Darkonda separated them so that Ecliptor would take the blast from the Megazord. This time, Ecliptor like fights it off, and Darkonda's like, "What the fuck? How did you do that?" And he's basically like, I have a code and like things that I live for, and you are just kind of all over the place. So my will overpowered you." And then he does his anime sword slash, and Darkonda explodes. And then, okay, listeners,
Big reveal here coming up.
At Teens with Tude on Twitter, Teenagers with Attitude is our Facebook
I think
group.
reveal is one way to call it. Retcon is another way to call it.
Yes, totally. teenswithtude@gmail.com. I tried to figure this out without rewatching the entire series. I swear to God, this is the first time that we find out about this.
Oh,
Please message me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
He killed him. He's dead. We cut to Darkonda with a big scroll.
silly.
It's so funny. It's a big
so good.
scroll of 9 copies of the same picture of
Fucking
himself
cat.
on it. And I think it is a reference to that, to 9 lives, right? Because he has 9. He says, "Well, dang, that's my 4th life." And he crosses out one of the pictures. And apparently he just could keep dying
Well,
9
only
times.
9 times though. But the thing is like what I like about this is that you're right. I'm sure they just thought of it just now, but it's
Yeah.
a good retcon, and now we know he's only got 5 more times.
I actually
Now
sort
we
of
know how
agree
he
with
can
you
lose.
because in
if-
Power Rangers often people will explode and then just be fine.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just like part of Power Rangers. It doesn't make much sense. Having Darkonda go like, "I can only do this many more times," at least gives you some sort of like timeline
Ticking
or
clock, yeah.
threat. I don't know if that's what happens
Yeah, I
because
don't think
can't remember.
I don't think it
but-
makes him more dangerous, but it adds a dimension that makes these fights at least a little interesting with the way he's been coming back over and over again.
Right, because as much as I enjoy the fight scene, I was just like, okay, so
Yeah, I was like, we already had this.
yeah,
this is great, but we already
did
had this.
First of all, we already did it, and second of all, he's still alive again. So it's
And also,
like,
I think it was the perfect moment for him to die last episode with Ecliptor saving the Red Ranger and killing
Yes,
him.
and-
like that would have been perfect.
and honestly, this would have been
and
cool
now-
too,
yeah.
with that cool anime sword slash, and he's dead. But yeah,
I think every time I think every time he comes back, it actually diminishes like my interest and my care for the story.
yeah, that's fair.
It'd be one thing if this had been a thing after the first death or the second death, or a thing early on that's like, oh, okay, now we know the stakes. But no, we don't know the stakes until it's halfway done. And
Right.
the most important plot element, capital P plot, that you had, like emotions and characters, you fucking threw it away.
So he could,
like,
yeah. The thing I'll say in its defense is that if you, for some reason, due to like the Sentai footage you have or some other reason, like have to keep using him, if you have to figure out how to explain it, I will take that as your retcon, at least giving me a limit on the number of times he can do it. But yes, I agree that I think Ecliptor should have been the person to kill him. Maybe he is, but either of those last 2 times would have made it, like, would have been cool. And now he's just still around.
I remember what happens.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
don't tell me.
We have a conversation here coming up now. If we can move on, is that okay?
Well, I was just going to really quick say, are you talking about the Dark Spectre conversation?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so they start talking about, and he's like, listen, Astronema's gonna betray you. And he's like, nah, she's not, but like, just to be case, let's test her. And he's like, excellent idea. Also, can you kill Ecliptor? And he's like, don't fucking push your luck. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yes.
and then leaves, and that's very funny, because he's just like, I just thought I'd ask. But here's my question, right? I have a question
Yeah.
now. Fabi had a big question. Why does he care so much about Astronema? Like, why does Dark Spectre want Astronema so badly? Why did he send Darkonda to kidnap her?
You have hit my trap card. Because if she goes back to being good, then that proves their whole fucking system wrong. Then that proves their whole shit wrong.
Well, the fact that she
evil person who was evil, who was the princess of evil, goes back to good, that destroys all the fucking hierarchy.
I don't agree with that, because the fact that she got turned evil in the first place already destroys all that.
Well, hold on though.
Is she like a chosen one or something? Like, is she like so good and powerful that he's like, if I make her evil, then I'll win for sure? Like, I'm so confused.
I definitely don't understand why. So here's what I'll say. I don't understand why he kidnapped her. That doesn't make sense. Maybe they'll explain it later. But I do think Fabi is right on at least
all the
partially all the time on everything, but at least partially on why not just Darkonda, but Dark Spectre is like, no. Like she is. Look, we're the United Alliance of Evil. Here, she is the Princess of Evil, which makes her like fifth in command. Yeah. And like, we absolutely cannot allow her to become good. That will fuck. If not like our philosophy, that's no good for your army for sure.
Imagine if your Princess of Evil is like, a Power Ranger.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm still interested in like why it happened to begin with. Like, why did?
Yes, I don't know.
Like, and they were going to kill everybody else on KO 35, but they, or like presumably they were because it's Power Rangers, so like they probably would never say that. Because that's obviously what they were trying to do, but they wanted her. And it makes me think, like, is she a chosen one of some kind or something? Like,
here's my I say two things pretty quick. One is, if it had happened when she was an adult and was just like the adult sister of the Red Ranger, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I would understand why they did it then. The only other guess I have, and this is not supported by the show, it is just my best guess. Zane and Andros are both Rangers. They're both from KO-35. There's that flashback where it at least implies that the whole in-space team was from KO-35. It could just be that they hate KO-35 so much that they were like, what if we take, because they got a Rangers team, what if we just like steal this kid,
this baby,
right, and like use her against them because fuck them.
It could have been any baby.
Also, that only would really make sense if Andros' like family is important to KO-35.
Maybe he was
information.
Maybe he was already chosen to be a Red Ranger.
Right, or like his dad was the Red Ranger. Like, any of this would make it sort of make sense, but we don't have that information. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a guess.
It's for the fanfic writers / comic book writers to worry about.
Right. Fucking hire me. Did you not hear the fucking 1 hour speech I did about the nature of evil and good in the Power universe? You're fucking wasting money every second you don't pay me.
So we already talked a lot about the scene that's about to happen, so we won't go as in depth on it. But I need to mention this.
I do like it because we talk about one line from it, but it is interesting that like Ecliptor goes to her and tells her goes to Astronema and tells Astronema about Darkonda betraying her, and she now is like remembering Darkonda kidnapped her, so she's all like, man, I really should have listened to you. And he's like, I love you, I raised you like my daughter, but like I'm evil to the core and I'm worried that you're gonna be good, but please don't be good. But he also isn't like threatening her, he just doesn't want to like. I really love this relationship where he's just like, I think Ecliptor, you're showing signs that you're not fully evil by being by caring about someone else. Period.
We talked about
there's no such thing as evil sign.
Yeah, right. I think you're right in the fact that like anyone, you don't have to be evil or good. You could just choose. And Ecliptor like was built as a construct for Dark Spectre, presumably, but because of his connection,
general or something.
Because of his connection with Astronema, he's like Piccolo and Gohan here, right?
Yes, totally.
And I really hope Ecliptor goes good by the end of it, and like, but maybe he's like, I'm programmed to like, if you turn evil or good, I got to kill you, even if I love you. Like that could be the thing. I don't know, but like, I'm reading way too much into it, I guess. But I really like it.
No, it's
like,
cool.
I eat this shit up.
It's interesting, and I like that he's like, yeah, he says like, I was built evil, you were born good.
Yeah, I lied to you about your origin so you would stay evil because I know you're
right.
You're good.
He uses an interesting phrase, which he says, you rose to be evil, to show basically that he thinks evil is superior. Which again, we talked about it for 30 minutes, but like,
Fanny pointing to the side.
What does evil mean?
Evil is a social construct.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, seriously.
Evil, much like gender, is a social construct.
I think this scene seriously, like, it shows that because it's just like, here's this guy. If you replace the terms good and evil with like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of something that doesn't really have a moral. Like, I rose you to love ska, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
Okay, a way to do it would be like, I rose you to believe in the upper class or the nobility or something, like anything with power.
To be a specific religion, or like any, like, I taught you to believe in this, and I want you to believe in that because it's what I believe in, and it makes me proud that you believe in that. That's basically this conversation. And then Astronema sort of promises to him, like, don't worry, you raised me, and like, this is the family that I have, and I'm going to stay evil.
Well, she says she's confused when he asks, like, are you going to be good? And I don't think she gives him a straight answer here like that.
Well, no, she does, because she says, Dark Spectre's going to test me, and I'm going to pass. Okay. So, and then she makes a fucking monster.
Oh, you're right. Evil is what I am, and evil is what they get. And she's going to kill her brother to show that she's evil.
And also, like,
this monster's so wild. Funny. It looks like a predator that got more lethal.
It's so funny because we're talking about like what is good and evil, and then Astronema's like, by the way, remember that it is Power Rangers, so here's a monster that I made. It looks like a predator crossed with like a plant,
a porcupine.
What's
covered in needles? You could say it as plant. Yeah, maybe it's plant.
Like a cactus, or something like that. Yeah.
There is if Victor Perfecto is listening, he'll know exactly what I mean. There is a Godzilla monster that is like plant-based or like alien plant. I can't remember the name exactly, but that's like the energy it gives me.
Is it Biolante?
Yeah, Biolante.
Yeah, it does kind of have Biolante energy. That's easily the coolest. That's my favorite Godzilla monster. That shit's cool.
Listen, I'm a King Ghidorah stan because bad bitches respect each other.
Look, King Ghidorah rules.
I like Desotroya because its name is good.
That is a good name.
Also, I'm like the biggest fakey faker, so I obviously fucking love Mechagodzilla.
Well, Mechagodzilla is a big Godzilla robot. If you're like, if someone
Mechagodzilla is like half the reason why people like Tommy.
Yeah,
genuinely, if here's like a human version of the Turing test. If someone was like, I really think Mechagodzilla is lame, I would be like, you're an alien. Like, I don't believe, like, there's no fucking way somebody's gonna walk up to me and be like, yeah, the robot version of the big radioactive dinosaur, that shit sucks. Like, I just don't believe you.
Damn. You're just being really mean to non-humans right now, is all I'm saying.
This is the fuck? A Mechagodzilla love song?
Yeah,
this is a Mechagodzilla respect zone.
Thank you. So
no, just to assume that a non-human wouldn't like Mechagodzilla, like what the fuck?
Oh, you're right. That was mean to aliens. Yeah. So we cut back to Andros is still on KO-35. And he's yelling for Corone because she left, and he's hoping she comes back.
Corone! Corone!
Jason!
Cheryl!
Different sex to Corone.
Press S to Jason. Instead, this monster shows up and fights Andros for a little while,
And,
unmorphed.
I think he knocks his morpher away at some point.
Yes, he tries to morph and it gets knocked off his wrist, which is, it's funny because they like never did that, and then they started doing it kind of more and more. We haven't really talked that much about the in space morpher. It's strapped to their wrist with like a watch mechanism, like a belt, basically. Yeah. I don't know how hard he hit that thing, but apparently pretty hard. So yeah, it flies off his wrist. He gets taunted. He's like, now what are you going to do? They fight for a little bit longer.
It's a decent fight.
Yeah, it's not bad. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it gets a little better after the morph, but yeah, like...
Astronema shows up, picks the morpher up. The kind of fun part about these episodes is like Astronema, it's both fun and goofy, which is that Astronema in this and the last episode is sort of just walking around in the background of the fight scenes, and you don't ever know if she's going to help or fuck with the Rangers because of what's going on with her internally. She's holding this thing, and Andros is... Yeah, the morpher, and Andros is really getting his butt kicked. And then eventually she does throw it to him.
Can't kill her brother. No matter how much evil has corrupted her.
Yeah. And which, she summoned the monster, so the monster's probably pissed that she did that.
He'll be dead soon. It's fine.
Yeah. But
yeah, I like that the monster goes to hit him after he gets the morpher back, and he just roundhouse kicks the monster, and then like does a really quick morph, and it was really cool.
That shot is cool. He is calling for her still once he gets up after, and he's like, "Hey, come back!" And the monster goes to attack him, and he like knows it's coming, roundhouse kicks the monster in the face, and then does the like,
"Let's rock it!"
No morph sequence morph where he just says let's rock it and morphs and then beats the crap out of it, and that was cool. I like that
and there's a really good effect where the monster shoots needles at him and he blocks it with his saber, and like again for Power Rangers that's a really good effect they did.
Yeah, they did
some
cool
rotoscoping stuff. They didn't use like CG and it looks way better.
Because what happens is like he blocks the needles and they all bounce off in like a big group, and it's cool looking.
Yeah, and it goes towards the camera. There's an explosion right in front of the camera. It's
the rest
cool.
of the Rangers all show up, and there was a line that just made me laugh, which is that Cassie's like, "What's his problem?" And then Andros is like, "He's just cranky," and I'm like, Is this supposed to be like funny? What are you talking about?
He almost killed you.
Yeah, he's a murder monster. Like, go fight the guy. So then, there's a full team fight.
Listen, Power Rangers wants its drama and its goofy too on the same plate. Yeah.
They do the Quadro Blaster.
One day they'll nail one of them. One day they'll have a little bit of at least one.
They use the Quadro Blaster, blow him up. He gets big. We do get our Delta Megazord back, which the Mega Voyager is the newest one. Again, we've introduced this boy like 7 or 8 episodes ago, and then we continue to use the old Megazord for some reason, but whatever.
And as Zord fights go, it's not incredible, but it's a little bit more interesting than we've been getting, because like there's a bit of a fight. They're like, oh, his weakness is his needles, and then they win.
Yeah. And I just like this Megazord more than the other ones.
Yeah, me too.
In this season, mostly because it's 5 robots, and the other ones aren't, which... Yeah. It's still a bummer.
There's a reason this is the one... Oh, wait, no, never mind. This isn't the... Is this the one that's in the game?
Yes, this is the one that's in the game.
This is the one that's in the game.
Yep.
There's a reason, because they're like, when we're going to make art for them, and they all have to have their own, this is the one that looks cool.
Yeah, it looks the coolest. I like it. They basically, they're like, his power is his needles, which they call his nails because they're like fingernails. That's kind of weird and made me uncomfortable, because then they punch his fingernails off of his body, which I didn't like thinking about very much. But then they blow him up, and that's fine. There's a shot that we cut to then a shot that I think I want as a giant back tattoo, which is Astronema standing on top of a mountain on an alien planet while roiling thunderhead clouds are in the distance with Dark Spectre coming out of them. And I was like, okay, I do want that on my van. Like, that's pretty cool.
But yeah,
Dark
Spectre.
Spectre.
He's like, yeah, I'll let you say it. Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, he says, okay, here's your test. We all knew it was coming. Kill the Red Ranger. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Even though she just tried to do that and chickened out 30 seconds ago, but whatever. Then we cut up to the megaship, and
Where
the
all
rest of the
Rangers
Ranger
are assholes.
Yes. They're basically all like, okay, I understand she's your sister. I understand that she knows she's your sister. But that doesn't, like, until she does something to show it, that doesn't mean she's any less dangerous. And Andros is like, well, she did give me my morpher back, which I would have died without.
Yeah.
So, like, that's important.
Also, the other day, she, like, shot a monster with a lightning bolt to save me. That happened, too. In fact, you know, like, you guys know now that she's, like, a normal person that got, like, raised by what we consider evil creatures, and you won't even entertain the fact that she could be good.
Power Rangers racist.
Like, what the fuck, you guys?
Totally.
Racist against evil.
Racist against evil. They cut down to the rest of the Rangers are all players that they're just like they're D&D PCs
they get to the orc baby thing and they have no question.
They're just like, well, they're evil, so yeah.
God, that's fucking racist.
It sucks.
That's why it's a problem.
Sucks. It's gross and shit.
I don't want to talk. I don't like. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm glad they've addressed it. I will say that I've literally never played in a D&D campaign, and I've played in a lot where the DM actually did that. Like what I mean by that is where the DM actually made every orc always evil. Like that, I've never played in one that's like that. I'm sure people do
You know
that.
which ones do that?
Yeah. What's that?
Organized play.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That
Does
sucks.
that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because listen, organized play is a fucking nightmare. I dealt through a lot when I was participating in it. But also, like, I ran a game for my sister and my dad because my sister wanted to run a game for her friends. And she's like, can you please run a game for us so I can see how it's done? So I ran it out of the box. It was like the starter
adventure,
pack. I bought her like the starter pack. I ran it out of the box, and like in there, one of the characters of the good characters like you can have helping your party is like an orc racist who's like only good orc is a dead orc. I will kill all orcs, and it's like lawful good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
This is like what's in your like introductory buzz that my little sister is gonna play with her friends.
Yeah.
Like,
So fucked
it's just
up.
at least in, like I said, at least in my experience, I understand it's not universal. Even just like as someone who didn't used to think about it that hard, the idea of just like coming across a village and regardless of who's in the village, just immediately going like, well, I can see that they're this type of person, so burn the whole thing down. Like, that sounds psychopathic no matter how you come at it. Like, it's just a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason it's scary is not because it sounds unrealistic. The reason it's scary is because this shit happens, right?
Right.
This shit happens all the time. People are targeted for stupid ass shit.
Yeah,
We
totally.
had the pulse shooting. We had massacres against people because of their religion or the color of their skin. Like, this shit happens all the time.
Absolutely.
And like,
Yeah.
the reason it's scary is because you're presenting this as, if not a moral good, which you are, at least a fun adventure you can give your players.
I honestly think the moral good thing is like weird, but the thing that kills me once I started thinking about it was like it's like it's not even that it's a moral good. It's just like it's like, okay, there's some goblins in this room of the dungeon. Okay, we kill them and move on. Like, you don't. It's like no, you made them a thinking, talking race, and then you're like, it is equivalent to killing some wolves that attacked me. You know what I mean? Like, that's what kills me about it. Anyway, play your games however you want, but maybe
just don't be racist.
Maybe
don't do that. I'm not going to endorse that.
I'm going to push back a little, Zach. Do not play your games whichever you want. Respect people and always be thinking, is what I'm doing actually hurting someone, either in my table or someone in my table knows? Is what I'm doing actually harmful? Yeah. Have that in the back of your head, because like we've had so many cases of abusive GMs publicly lately.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, no, you always have to be thinking, is what I'm doing beneficial or hurting someone?
And if you care, like, it's so easy to be like, I've replaced these with, big spiders. Like, there's so many ways to fix that very quickly and not have it be an issue. So, just think about it. Anyway, we are... at the
I'm like holding myself back. We should move on.
I appreciate it, and all of your feelings are super valid, and also we're at an hour and
definitely should put a content warning at the beginning of this episode, being like, we talk about some heavy shit.
Yeah, we can do that. So we cut to Andros. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I didn't actually say it. They're like, she's bad. Don't
and then she
worry
calls,
about it.
And she's like, hey, come down to KO 35. And they're like, don't go. And he's like, I'm going to go wherever you guys want me to or not. And then they don't say like, okay, but we're coming with you. And we'll trust you on this, buddy. And then even in the back of their head say like, okay, if she turns, then we'll be there to help him. But like the idea that they're like they should really try to support their friend here with this, and it's really shitty and out of character for them to be like that.
The only explanation I really have is that she says come alone, and he says okay, I'm going to do that, and then they kind of don't. They're like no, don't, and then he goes.
Yeah, I guess she did say come alone, but like
yeah. So they meet, and at least at first, like she just told Dark Spectre she's going to kill him. We kind of, as the audience, don't really know if she is lying right now, but she starts talking to him. She doesn't attack him. She's like, I don't remember much. I know that you're my sister. Or sorry, I know that you're my brother.
Well, maybe.
Well, he can identify however they want. But Andros is like...
Andros identifies as a fucking fuckboy.
He's not a fuckboy because he's not horny.
He's a fuckboy.
He's not horny.
No, but he's a fuckboy derogatory.
I think fuckboys are like horny assholes, aren't they? Like, isn't that what a fuckboy is?
There's a bunch of ways.
Fuckboy in spirit.
Yeah. So he's like, he's
playing with the aesthetics of fuckboy. Let's keep going.
He's like, do you remember that when we were children, we dreamed about being Power Rangers? Now, as of last episode, and Astronema believed that the Power Rangers killed her family. So, and then just found out that wasn't true. Probably not the best way to try to get her to...
He doesn't know that.
No, I know, but it's just funny that she doesn't say anything about it.
I need to make a correction and apologize. You're right, he's not a fuckboy. Zane is a fuckboy. He's the guy who lets the fuckboy get away with all his shit.
Zane
he's like this,
that's absolutely a fuckboy.
Yeah, Zane is a fuckboy.
The spineless friend. He's the guy that if you tell him, like, hey, your friend makes me really uncomfortable, he's like, oh, he's just annoying.
Yeah. Right. So he says, you never wanted to be Astronema. They forced that onto you. And she's like, well, I can't remember. I can barely remember anything. I'm really having a hard time. And then she turns around and is like, okay, Dark Spectre would kill me if he knew I came here. But here's the thing. I came to tell you that I know where Dark Spectre has Zordon and that I can take you there. And so now we have kind of a big, moral decision, except that, look, I know Andros wants to believe the best in his sister. I know that Andros is the good guy, and I know that it's a show for babies. Seems like a trap to me, but who knows? I guess we'll find out.
I mean, it might. I know that she does turn good at some point and then goes back to being evil again, right? So this could be when I honestly, I'm not. I'm 50-50 on whether this is a trap or she's legitimately trying to break away and just told Dark Spectre that because, well, if she didn't, he probably would have killed her.
I genuinely don't know the answer. What I'm saying is, even if I was hoping that my previously evil villain was gonna go good, if they came and were like, "Hi, I know you're hoping I'm gonna turn good. Let me give you the ultimate thing that you want right away with no no real questions," I would be like,
I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
She's trying to give away. I mean, like that's the only way she could get the rest of the Rangers' trust if she gives away something that big. Right. I think, but unless it's a trap, and then you're right. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't remember. So he brings her up to the ship, which. Okay, and DJ, everybody's been kind of everyone who's not Astronema and Andros has been sort of sidelined for the past couple episodes, but I do like that Andros is like, Astronema knows where Zordon is, and TJ's like, yeah, because she helped kidnap him, which I did appreciate.
Apparently.
Yes.
She's probably busy doing something else, and someone else in her group did that. But she's still part of the group. But I also I was thinking too, Andros has to accept whatever she says if he has any hope of getting her. Because if he doesn't trust her at all, that's true. Gonna I understand the other Rangers, but he pretty much has no other choice there. How the other Rangers should be handling it is okay, we'll go along with this, but also we are on our guard. Yeah.
Right. So, She says, actually, no, I didn't. And I want to say that Divatox kidnapped Zordon specifically.
No, I think Dark Spectre did.
Oh, okay.
While Divatox gets told that Zordon's been captured at the end of Turbo.
Cassie is like, how about instead of us following you somewhere where we just follow you to the place, you give us the coordinates and we don't actually take you with us. And Astronema is like, well, that won't work because there's a force field on the planet, so I have to come with you so that I can get Dark Spectre to lower it before we can land. Ashley says, if this is a trap, we're walking right into it.
And then the real Red Ranger of the group, because TJ? Andros absolutely isn't the leader at all, and TJ just shows how much better of a Red Ranger he is here.
TJ's like, okay, that's fine. We'll do it if we can restrain her. That's my condition, basically.
Which is, fair, I guess.
I think it's reasonable, given what we know. Andros is like, no, never. I'd rather die. And
Astronema's that's cool.
Astronema's like, no, that's fine, actually. It's not that big a deal. And so then TJ's like, okay, great. Well, then where's Zordon? And she gives the coordinates, the Kirak Galaxy, on the jungle planet of Yotoba. And they say, okay, let's set a course. And that's the episode. It is, I'm sorry. Actually, I lied. It is time for them to remind us what they call, maximum warp speed in Power
really
Rangers.
Because he's trying to give off this serious line. He's like, Deca, set a course.
And do maximum hyper rush velocity. And you're like, oh, right. I forgot that's what it's called.
So bad.
It's very funny.
I love Power Rangers, obviously, and I love the goofy names that it gives it. But occasionally, Power Rangers Super Mega Force, at that I was like, that's a parody of a Power Rangers name, but then you just went and did it. And this kind of feels the same way. But anyway, that's the episode. It's fine. I think we managed to make it into a very interesting discussion, based mostly upon their usage of the terms good and evil, but really not that. I mean, there's cool stuff in it. I love that fight between Ecliptor and Arconda, but when Fabi was like, there's not actually that much plot in this, when me and Emily said there was, upon rewatching it, I think you're mostly right. Again, the things that are important happen, but in this 22 minutes, what happens is Darkonda and Cliptor fight. The outcome of that doesn't actually matter because Darkonda's still alive. Dark Spectre says, okay, I know that you're wavering. You have to kill the Red Ranger. And then she goes and says, I'll take you there. And then that's the end of the episode. Like, very little happens.
I mean, like, I think there's a lot of, like, little cool character moments between,
yeah, me
like,
too.
I just, like,
I was, in my head, I was like, this is a big plot episode, and again, like, the things that do happen are important going forward, but it's not that much actually happens in the episode. So I don't know, it's fine. There's cool fights. That's it.
There's cool fights and cool character moments happen, and Astronema's character is kind of being developed a little bit.
Yeah. And knowing where she goes, I think that's cool. I like that they're doing this, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm glad we did this, because I feel like we've been teetering on the edge of, like, what the fuck does this, and I feel like we've even talked about it a little bit before, like, what is good and evil in Power Rangers, but I think we kind of really went at it and didn't really get an answer, but that's because the show doesn't have one, so that's fine.
It's up to you to find your answer.
Yeah, I honestly think, thinking it over as we do this, Fabi, I think you're closest. I think that in Power Rangers universe, there are just elements that are tagged either good or evil, and what those aren't really, it's just arbitrary. I think that's the thing that makes the most sense.
I mean, the real reason is that the plot and, like,
oh, well, of course,
this show is, like, all over the place. Some episodes they care, some episodes don't care, so there's no consistency. But the only thing that makes sense, if we want to take them at their word, if we're like, everything you're saying is true and canon, is that there's no such thing as good or evil. They are constructs.
Well, yeah, or that good and evil just don't, like, mean much. Like,
don't mean good and evil.
Yeah, because, like, yeah, I mean, like we said, like, apparently humans are good. Why? Because they just fit the good rules, I guess. Like, that's how it goes. But yeah, so there you go. That's the episode. It was a fun discussion. I have lost my voice as we've been doing this.
You're talking a lot and very emphatically.
But I actually do. So I want to say, we have not done questions in a little bit, but I've got some. I'm going to do them next time just because I'm losing my voice. But in the meantime, if you do have more questions about anything, about the nature of the universe, good and evil, Power Rangers, you can send them to us at Teens with Toot on Twitter. Teenagers with Attitudes, our Facebook group, or teenswithtoot@gmail.com is our email address. Fabi, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Fabi_Garza on Twitter. Fabi Bear, one word, on FabiBear.twitch.tv/FabiBear. That's where I've been streaming a lot of Pokemon randomizers, Nuzlockes, and a lot of fun stuff. Also, you can find me, as always, at Idle Playtest. You can also find me on Moon Harbor Heroes, Masked Superhero Podcast. And you can very soon find me on Otherwhere as part of the Nova Squad, another Masked Superheroes podcast that's more like interdimensionaling, time-traveling superheroes.
All right. Emily, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Well, I mentioned earlier on the podcast that I guested on Lupin Lottery. That's a podcast that friend of the show, Holly, does with Jess and Mark. And it was really fun. And we talked about how Lupin is totally spies and a bunch of other stuff. And then you also, you can, next Tuesday on the 7th, I believe this is coming up Friday, right, this episode? Or it'd be next week.
I'm not sure, but just give
regardless,
the date just in case.
on the 7th, I believe, we are doing our own little on Ava's Twitch channel. We're doing a little short little Eidolon game type thing, where I don't think it's gonna be a huge campaign, but we're playing it, and it's called Eidolon Shuffle, and all of it's based around cards from card games. It ended up that a lot of us, or maybe all of us, picked Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but that wasn't the intention. It just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, I feel like there's like big collectible card games. There's not really that many, and it makes sense with our like age group and friend group.
Also like Eidolon games are usually like cool phrases, and like there's not a lot of Magic the Gathering cards that'd be fun for that. But there's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like like my Eidolon is going to be Trap Hole. And that like can invoke a lot of things, right?
Sure.
So like, yeah, and that should be really fun. I'm excited to play Eidolon. I love hearing my friends play it, and it sounds like a fun game. I can't wait to try it out. And also, you can find me on Twitter at This Is Emeralds, and my Patreon is at This Is Emerald. Patreon.com/@this, not at this, that. Patreon.com/This Is Emerald. Sorry.
There you go. And just to get that again, twitch.tv/Avagard, AVAGARDE is our friend Ava's Twitch account, and she's been streaming a lot of stuff with a lot of people from Audio Entropy. If you want to check that out, we do a lot of
Among Us, and it's been very fun. Fabi's been on Tuesday nights. I've been on most of them.
I've been on once, and I would be on more if I wasn't busy as fuck. Yeah, it was fun.
It was a blast to have you on when we did.
But yeah, so check that out. And for me, you can find me on Twitter at ChinchiMcChilla, where you can find me freak out about random things, start way too in-depth discussions on religion that I can't back up any of my opinions on, that kind of fun thing.
You're just a person with a Twitter account.
that's right. It's just me. Oh, I post a lot of cat pictures. Those are good. You follow me for cat pictures. And that's going to do it for us this week. For Teenagers with Attitude, I've been Zach.
I've been Emily.
And I've been Fabi.
And may the power protect you always.